It gets to the point where people don't, they don't know what to do. And so if they go to house and they find all this out and they're completely, where do I go? That's when they see the video and talking about how we had this and that with our pediatrician, how we had, these steps that we took. Because a lot of people, the same story all over again, A lot of people have all the same of, their pediatrician, did this, or their audiologist did that, or whatever, and they just don't know what steps to go from that point, and so they do it with him. And they show them that. They've done it to where they have on their site, they have families that if you want to go in and you can contact families that have similar, you can see the children, how old they are, if they're unilaterally or bilaterally implanted, all those kinds of things that a lot of these other CI companies don't do. So I mean, it's like I'm very, very pleased with who we chose. You need to wait. I know. What? He said water.
So you looked into a couple other companies before you chose?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, we looked into. There's 3 cochlear implant companies. There's Nucleus, Clarion, and MED-EL. And Nucleus I didn't like because the coil that you saw, that's that flat piece that goes in his head. It's like this, and it has like a little peace sign in it. To me, it looked like an antenna, and I didn't want that antenna on my child's head.
Okay.
So I squashed Nucleus. And then on Clarion, that's what we were going to do because everybody out here that we had met had the Clarion. So we were like, okay, we're just going to go Clarion. Well, then all of a sudden they had it pulled off the market for meningitis scare. So then they're like, okay, well, Clarion is not doing this because meningitis, as you all know, can be deadly. Will you stop this? And so I'm like, well, now what do we do? And they're like, you have to go Nucleus. I said, I'm not going Nucleus. And I was like, isn't there another option? And they had given me just a sheet of, they gave me brochures and pamphlets on one, brochures and pamphlets on another, and then they gave me a sheet of paper on MED-EL. And I'm like, well, what's MED-EL? They're like, oh, it's a European company, don't even worry about it. Well, the more research I did on it, I found that it had like the deeper electrode insertion, which it's like if you've ever seen a cochlea, it's kind of, shaped like this. Well, when you have that piece that goes in there, it threads through your cochlea. Well, when your sound comes in, it has different parts within there that you're going to have that sound. Well, it had a deeper insertion than the other 2 companies. It had a smaller, when he was a baby, this piece and the battery just got pinned on his shirt. That's all he needed to do, where the other ones had these huge battery packs that were shoved on the back of their kids' backs. So I'm like, why am I going to put him through all that when everything I'm finding with the MED-EL I preferred? So then that's how we chose MED-EL and went that route. But again, they flew people out to meet with us. The other companies could care less.
Wow.
I mean, we had people meeting us. They were like, let's go to downtown Disney and sit and have, and they brought all their stuff down. The kids were having fun. And you see all your stuff. You see the little pieces, and it's like they did customer service.
Yeah.
When he had his surgery, there was no other child at house that had the MED-EL. They flew in a surgeon. So I mean, it's like they,
Would you say they were the most helpful?
Oh heck yeah!
Figuring everything out.
Well, yeah. Well, they wanted to get. They were helpful, but then you also have to figure they wanted to get their foot in the door at house as much as possible as well.
Yeah.
It's like they had adults getting the MED-EL off and on, but for the kids, he was the first one. So they're like, oh, let's jump on that bandwagon. And since then, more kids in house have had the MED-EL. They don't push it like they do the Nucleus and the Clarion yet.
You would definitely recommend it.
Oh heck yeah! Oh yeah.
My last question, is there anything you know now that you wish you knew before?
Before finding out he was deaf?
Yeah. Like, do you wish, like I know you said the pediatrician kept like pushing you aside. Do you ever like wish you would have been like, no, there's something wrong?
I question myself on that a lot because it's like one of those things to where, I guess woman intuition, if you will. You knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
I put my faith in a doctor, and unfortunately since then have had other things go on with doctors that has solidified the fact that I can't trust doctors. So I mean, yeah, I guess that.
I think that made you more involved though. Like,
oh yeah. Because because of the experience that I had with him with the doctor, it kind of puts it into a perspective when you have other things that go on to where now I'm always questioning doctors, unfortunately, which isn't always fair to them either.
Yeah.
But because I've been done wrong more than once, it's kind of like, how do I know that this next person isn't going to do wrong? If I would have pushed it more though, I don't know how much else would have changed because the doctor was adamant about his feelings. It wasn't like he was like, oh well, if you're concerned, no. It was like, oh, there's nothing wrong. Versailles was also a very visual child. I mean, you got to figure he had. What was it? We had like a receiver on the table, okay, but for the TV, and he'd walk over there and he'd be, messing around. He'd be like, Versailles, stop, and he wouldn't move, and I'd be like, Versailles. Well, just by me going like this, unbeknownst to me, visual man turns around and looks at you. To me, I'm thinking, why would he not hear me? Because I wouldn't have even thought it was a hearing thing. Because you'd make the littlest movement, peripherally, he would see you and he would turn around. Somebody would come home, the garage door would go up. He'd feel the vibration, he'd go to the door. But if you didn't know that he wasn't deaf, you wouldn't think that anything different. He was doing things that a normal hearing child would do. You have something in your hand, you say, here, take it to the trash. He was reading lips before he ever heard. He'd take it to the trash. So, things that he would do, there's like absolutely no reason why you would think he was. And that's where I think for the doctor's sake, he was like, oh, no, don't worry about it,
So he wasn't talking?
No, he was babbling though. And that was one thing I asked the doctor.
It was normal?
It was, some kids don't talk until they're 2, which is not, they say not normally, you're supposed to talk before that, but that's where I had asked the pediatrician, I'm like, he doesn't have words, but he babbles. He goes, well, if he babbles, deaf children don't babble, so don't worry about him having any kind of hearing impairment. Well, yes, deaf children do babble, as we found out. Having words formed, he did not, but it's like you have kids that are 18 months to 2 years that don't form words until then either. It could be from their tongue not being placed properly.